All right, so today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something pretty profound. I think you'd agree.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're talking wisdom, and this time we're looking at a sermon called Upper Wisdom and Lower Wisdom, the Impact of Choices.
Interesting title for sure.
Yeah, and this sermon, it's delivered to a Christian audience.
Okay.
But, I think a lot of the ideas are pretty universal.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it really gets to the heart of how the choices that we make reflect different kinds of wisdom that we're using to make those choices.
Right.
And it's not all just kind of abstract concepts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It actually uses a story.
Oh, okay.
It uses the story of King Solomon.
Oh, wow.
To illustrate just how powerful wisdom can be.
Oh, yeah. Solomon, he's the guy who, famously asked God for wisdom.
Exactly.
Instead of, riches and power and all that.
It was a pretty bold move.
Yeah, what a choice.
But a really big choice. Yeah.
Yeah, so what does this sermon say about his choice, then?
Well, it kind of dives into, how his wisdom made him an incredible ruler.
Okay.
Right? He was able to, discern truth and make judgments that were actually fair.
Right.
And it really highlights how impactful and valuable true wisdom can be.
Yeah, especially for someone in a position like that.
Oh, for sure. Someone in authority. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I noticed the title mentions two kinds of wisdom.
Right. Upper and lower.
Exactly. Upper and lower.
So I'm guessing Solomon's wisdom was the upper kind.
You got it. Yeah. He was definitely working with the upper wisdom there.
Okay.
And the sermon contrasts that God-given wisdom of Solomon with what it calls lower wisdom, which is the kind that comes from worldly desires and ambitions.
So it's like looking at life through two different lenses then.
Right.
Like one that's focused on the eternal and the other one's more on the temporary.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a spiritual versus a worldly perspective.
Okay.
And the sermon doesn't shy away from the consequences of choosing one over the other. It actually uses this really powerful image of wisdom as a double-edged sword.
Oh, wow.
It can be used to build up or to tear down.
Right.
To create or to destroy.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense analogy.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
suggests that even good intentions can kind of go wrong if you're not careful about the wisdom you're using to guide your actions.
Yeah, it's a reminder that wisdom isn't just about being smart or knowledgeable. It's about aligning our hearts and minds with the right source.
Right.
And the sermon actually goes even deeper.
Okay.
And uses this really fascinating analogy of a transparent fish.
Okay. A transparent fish.
Yeah. To help us understand these two types of wisdom.
All right. I'm intrigued. How does that work?
So imagine being able to see right through something.
Okay.
To understand its true nature.
Uh-huh.
That's what the sermon is inviting us to do with these different types of wisdom. To see through the outward appearance and really discern the underlying motivations.
Right.
And the consequences.
Oh, so it's looking beyond the surface and understanding the deeper implications of our choices.
Exactly.
Okay.
The why behind our actions.
Got it.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because the sermon starts breaking down the characteristics of what it calls lower wisdom.
Okay. So what does it say about that?
Well, it's definitely not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No, the sermon pulls no punches.
Okay.
It calls out things like earthly desires, jealousy, envy.
Right.
All those things that often drive conflict and division.
Yeah.
It even goes so far as to suggest that this kind of wisdom can be influenced by demonic forces.
Whoa. Okay, so we're talking about a kind of wisdom that ultimately leads to darkness and destruction.
That's exactly the point.
For ourselves and others.
Yeah, and they describe it as a downward spiral.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like leveling up in a video game.
Right.
But in a bad way.
Oh, no.
You start with those seemingly harmless, earthly desires.
Right.
But then they escalate to jealousy, bitterness, and eventually...
Yeah, you end up battling some serious spiritual darkness.
It's intense.
It is.
But it's also a really powerful wake-up call.
Yeah, definitely. So it does sound like they're offering a solution, though, right?
They do.
That upper wisdom.
Yeah, that upper wisdom that we were talking about.
The antidote to all this spiritual darkness.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how do they describe it?
So in contrast to that, chaotic, self-serving nature of lower wisdom.
Right.
Upper wisdom is portrayed as this, source of peace.
Okay.
Gentleness, humility, mercy.
Yeah, those are qualities that go way beyond just being nice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like a deep inner transformation, a way of being in the world that's rooted in something much larger than ourselves.
Yeah, it's not just about managing our emotions.
Right.
Playing the social game well. It's like a fundamental shift.
Exactly.
And perspective and motivation.
Yeah. I love how they use these like simple but powerful images to illustrate this.
Oh, yeah.
Like gently holding a child's hand or petting a cat the right way.
Yeah.
It's about this incredible tenderness and empathy that flows from a place of true wisdom.
It's almost like upper wisdom gives you a different kind of emotional intelligence.
Right.
It's not just the ability to understand and manage your own emotions.
Yeah.
But like a deep sensitivity to the needs and feelings of others.
Exactly.
And the sermon emphasizes that this kind of wisdom comes directly from God.
Okay.
You know, it's not something that we can just conjure up on our own.
Right. It's like you're saying we need to tap into a higher source, align ourselves with the divine will to even access that kind of wisdom.
Exactly. It's not about book smarts or
yeah.
street smarts.
Yeah.
It's about spiritual wisdom.
Yeah.
And the sermon goes on to describe how this upper wisdom plays out in our lives by using this beautiful metaphor of a farmer planting and harvesting.
Okay.
So it says that when we plant seeds of peace, kindness, humility, we reap a harvest of good fruit.
Right.
Things like joy, love, genuine connection with others.
But when we plant seeds of anger, jealousy, and strife,
the
harvest isn't so great.
Yeah, it's a powerful image that really drives home the point that our choices have consequences.
Absolutely.
What we cultivate within ourselves ultimately determines what we produce in the world around us.
Yeah, that's a powerful message. Makes me think about my own life.
Yeah, me too.
You know, the kind of seeds I'm planting in my relationships, my work, even in my own thoughts and feelings.
It's a challenge for all of us, right? To be mindful of the choices that we're making and the kind of wisdom that we're drawing on.
Definitely, because ultimately it's not just about our individual happiness. It's about the kind of world that we're creating together.
So for you, our listener, what does all of this mean?
Yeah, this deep dive into upper and lower wisdom, I think it offers a powerful framework for understanding the impact of our choices.
Right.
It invites us to look beyond the surface.
Yeah.
And consider the deeper motivations and consequences behind our actions.
Are we acting out of a place of love and compassion?
Yeah.
Seeking to build up and bless others?
Or are we driven by fear, insecurity, a desire for self-preservation, even at the expense of others?
These are questions that we face every day in big and small ways.
Right.
And the answers determine not only our own well-being, but the well-being of those around us.
Absolutely. It's a call to cultivate that upper wisdom.
Yeah.
To tap into that divine source of peace, gentleness, and humility.
Because as we've seen, the fruits of that kind of wisdom are abundant and life-giving, not just for ourselves, but for everyone we touch.
But the sermon doesn't end there.
Oh.
It goes on to describe how this upper wisdom actually works in practice.
Okay.
How it manifests in our relationships and decisions. And they use a really fascinating analogy to illustrate this.
Oh, I love a good analogy.
Yeah. So they compare upper wisdom to, wait for it, a city built on a hill.
A city on a hill. Okay, I'm picturing it.
Yeah.
It's high up, visible to everyone, a beacon of light in the darkness.
That's a good way to put it.
So what's the connection to upper wisdom?
Well, they're saying that just like a city on a hill can't be hidden,
right?
True wisdom can't be concealed. It shines through in everything we do.
Okay.
In how we treat others, how we respond to challenges, how we navigate the complexities of life.
So it's not just about having good intentions or knowing the right answers.
Right.
It's about living in a way that reflects that deeper wisdom.
Exactly. It's about our actions matching our words.
And the sermon emphasizes that this kind of life isn't always easy.
No.
There will be storms.
Yeah.
There will be challenges.
Right.
There will be times when we're tempted to take the easier path.
The path of least resistance.
Exactly. But they're saying that when we build our lives on the foundation of upper wisdom, we're able to weather those storms.
Right.
To stand firm in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
And to emerge stronger on the other side.
It's like that city on a hill built on solid ground.
Yeah.
Able to withstand the winds and the rains because it's rooted in something unshakable.
That's such a powerful image. It makes me think about all the times in my life when I've felt lost, uncertain, like I didn't know which way to turn.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe I was trying to navigate those challenges with the wrong kind of wisdom.
Right.
Relying on my own limited understanding instead of tapping into that higher source.
Yeah. It's a journey for all of us.
Yeah.
Learning to discern between those two voices, the one that whispers fear and doubt, and the one that speaks truth and love.
And the sermon offers some really practical guidance on how to do just that.
It does, yes. So how do we actually cultivate this upper wisdom?
Yeah. It sounds amazing in theory, but how do we actually make it a reality?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is.
And thankfully, the sermon doesn't leave us hanging.
Oh, good.
It actually gives us some concrete steps we can take.
Okay.
To invite more of that upper wisdom into our lives.
Okay. I'm all ears. What's the first step?
Well, the sermon emphasizes the importance of humility.
Okay.
It says that before we can even begin to access upper wisdom,
right,
we need to acknowledge our own limitations.
Yeah.
Our need for guidance from something bigger than ourselves.
It's like saying we need to empty our cup before we can fill it with something new.
Yeah.
Let go of our ego and our need to be right all the time.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we don't have all the answers, that we need help from a higher power,
right,
and that help is available to us, but we need to be open to receiving it.
So humility is the foundation.
Yes.
What comes next?
Well, the sermon talks about the importance of prayer and meditation.
Okay.
It says that spending time in quiet reflection, connecting with God, allows us to tune into that deeper wisdom that's always available to us.
It's like creating space for that upper wisdom to speak to us, to guide our thoughts and actions.
Yeah.
Not just rushing through our day on autopilot, but actually taking the time to listen to that inner voice.
Right. And the sermon also emphasizes the importance of studying Scripture.
Okay.
It says that immersing ourselves in the wisdom of the ages, reflecting on the teachings of those who have walked this path before us, can help us to discern the path of upper wisdom in our own lives.
It's like having a map and a compass for navigating the complexities of life.
Yeah.
Learning from the experiences of others, both their successes and their failures, can give us valuable insights for our own journey.
Exactly. And finally, the sermon talks about the importance of putting that wisdom into practice. It says that true wisdom isn't just about knowledge, it's about action.
Right.
It's about living out those values of peace, gentleness, humility, and mercy in our daily interactions with others.
So walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Right.
Embodying those qualities in everything we do,
Yeah.
from the smallest interactions to the biggest decisions.
It's about letting that upper wisdom flow through us becoming a conduit for love and grace in the world.
Exactly. And the sermon reminds us that this is an ongoing process, a lifelong journey of growth and transformation.
It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out.
Right.
It's about showing up each day with a willingness to learn to grow and to let that upper wisdom guide our steps.
Yeah.
And to remember that even when we stumble, we can always get back up and choose again.
That's a beautiful message of hope and encouragement.
It is.
It reminds us that no matter where we are on our journey, we can always turn towards that upper wisdom, that source of love and light that's always available to us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, our listener, with a simple but powerful question.
A question that can serve as a compass for your own life.
What kind of wisdom are you cultivating in your own heart and mind?
Are you choosing the path of peace, gentleness, humility, and mercy? Or are you allowing fear, anger, and self-interest to guide your steps?
The choice is yours. And as we've explored today, the impact of that choice extends far beyond ourselves.
It shapes our relationships, our communities, and ultimately the world we create together.
May we all strive to live lives that reflect the beauty and the power of upper wisdom, bringing light and healing to a world that desperately needs it.